even though India has been a large exporter of services, we have really not succeeded in creating, let's say, the Googles and the Amazons of the world. Um,
Mhm.
does that take like a different DNA? Because we know we have the talent. A lot of Indian engineers or Indian Americans do really well in the US. So, any thoughts on that?
Yeah, no, it's a great point. And if you look at, like, for example, the American economy, in a way, it's kind of like this growth model, right? You have these massive exporting services sectors, technology, financial services, and that's what's really driving the US economy globally, generating foreign exchange, et cetera. And then everything else is like the spillover jobs, if you will. And so the reason why that works in an economy like America is because these jobs are super productive. They're IP intensive, and you're capturing most of the value that you're creating. Like, compare Apple's market capitalization, what is it now, 4 trillion, with like Foxconn, which I don't have the number at the top of my head, but it's definitely on the order of, maybe 100 billion or 200 billion or
Yeah.
something. And so is Apple more important for the iPhone, or is Foxconn? Well, in terms of market pricing, it's Apple, right? So I think, to your point about, you have to build companies that export products where you own the IP, you own the brand, and that's how you generate true value addition. And why has India struggled in that? I think, part of this is just time, right? It's still relatively poor economy in per capita terms, and it takes time to get to the global frontier. But I think the second thing is there's something of an economy of scale with, in terms of the production of software and IP intensive new products, where it does tend to cluster in particular regions of the world. All of AI is happening out of Silicon Valley now, for the most part. Of course, China, also formidable competitor. But it's really, you have these two sources of software innovation. You have the United States and you have China. And part of the reason why China is a competitor, they've kind of walled themselves off from the rest of the world for a long period of time. So you have the US internet, you have the Chinese internet, and then you have nothing else. And if you look at many of the top people from India and Bangalore in tech, they don't stay. They go to the United States. And that's maybe slowly changing, and there's some signs of that. But yeah, like venture capital in India, if you look at Sequoia India, for example, they recently pulled out. Why? I think they overestimated the total addressable market, the TAM in India, because they thought that India was going to build like a Facebook for India, a Google for India. But it turned out that India was just going to adopt America's Facebook and America's Google. So if you're an English speaking market with your top end consumers are pretty integrated in the global markets, then they're just going to adopt the foreign company rather than the domestic substitute. And what that means is you can't just replicate what's happening in another country and expect it to have a big TAM. You actually have to produce something genuinely new and export it and actually win in the US. So once we start seeing Indian companies that can move into the US and actually win, that's basically what's going to be needed for this to happen.